good to see you. So, topic on is new market playbooks, feast or famine. Why is it feast or famine?
My expertise is in companies expanding globally. And when I approach from the angle of feast or famine, I see some companies that go on to become wildly successful. I'll give you examples: Zendesk, Okta, Afterpay. But for every single company that I see like that, a DocuSign or a Zoom, I see a company which has a brilliant value proposition, selling something which is addressing a need that's not being met in the market, but they follow the wrong playbook, they hire the wrong personnel, they have the wrong strategy, they end up pulling out of Asia Pacific and losing millions of dollars.
Hold it. Wait a minute, man. You're talking smart companies, smart people, real funding, great software. How can they screw up so much? I don't get it.
I'm not just talking, I'm talking about genius companies of genius people. I'm talking about companies that are founded by Francisco partners, by Vista Equity partners, by Andreas Horowitz. I'm talking about some of the smartest people in the world that are investing millions into these companies and still getting market entry into new markets wrong. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. So you have to clarify this because, and I agree with you. I mean, I work with guys that manage up Sequoia. I understand. So how does it go south? Where are they having to pivot where they run short, and next thing you know, a year later, oh my goodness, we don't have the numbers.
They don't know how to expand, or they don't know how to expand into certain global markets. And oftentimes they get their messaging or their value proposition incorrect. So if we take those two separate concepts, every single market in the world is different. So I'm going to talk to you about Asia Pacific specifically here, although I can extrapolate this for the rest of the world. APAC has 6 of the world's largest economies, 12 of the world's fastest growing economies. The challenge is there's zero in common between many of them, that it's an extremely complex beast and companies just don't understand the intricacies.
All right, I agree. So let me ask you this. We don't have that in the US. Chicago, Ohio, San Francisco, Louisiana, we all speak the same language. We all eat the same food, basically. You're telling me with all their money, they don't have experts to say there's dialect differences, there's innuendos, there's mannerisms. They don't know that when they're moving into APAC?
Correct, because they keep making the mistake of hiring someone who's ex-SAP, ex-Oracle, ex-Salesforce, or sending someone over from Europe or from the US who doesn't have the experience. They may have been incredible in the North American market, but they just simply don't have the background or skill set or knowledge how to do it in Asia Pacific. And I've seen this happen 100 times.
So you're telling me, okay, this is great. That's why I like you, Colin. You're talking about the shiny object syndrome. They get the shiny object person, they pull them out of the UK. They've done $1 zillion in deals. Next thing you know, they don't speak Mandarin, they don't understand dialect problems, and they fail. I find this hard to believe, but I don't question what you say. So therefore, one of the misconceptions is grow global, hire local.
100%. Hire local, but hire people that understand global. That's what companies need to do.
And is that why you operate in Singapore and Melbourne and Sydney and Tel Aviv? I often wonder about that. But you operate in all these different places.
Absolutely, because I know we'll get to this eventually, Ed. Companies need to follow what I have identified to be a gold standard playbook. It doesn't matter which country in the world you're originated from, but it's the same formula that works in Australia, that works in expansion in Israel, works in France, works in the US. It's a gold standard playbook to follow. At the end of the day, a disruptive technology originated from Texas is still going to be a disruptive technology when you sell it into Australia, when you sell it into France. The technology is still changing a pain point that exists in the world. The problem is, how does a company actually take that into a new market and know how to position it to make themselves successful?
You know, you're starting to get me thinking differently, because I didn't do $250 million selling in the US because I'm just smart. I understand every enterprise. I understand all technologies and markets, but I never had to sell somebody from Vietnam who's running $1 billion company. So what you're saying is the obvious is where they screw up. They should have hired a big shot who knows market local and brought in the heavyweight from Europe who knows revenue and sales and made them accountable to the go-to-market. Maybe they
That's
don't want to
exactly
spend the money. You think that was the problem?
They don't want to spend the money, or they don't know what to do. So I've seen this particular scenario in a number of ways. Sometimes the issue is that the company, I'll give you I won't name the company, but it's quite a large company now that's on the verge of IPO in the backup and virtualization space. They hired a person who used to run, I won't name the company, but a Veeam equivalent or a VMware equivalent. Extremely successful man, scaled the business from 1 person to 200 people. They hired this guy assuming that he's going to be able to do the exact same thing. But then when they hired him, it's very much a case of, well, go make some sales and go make some cold calls, and then we'll hire you a pre-sales person or a lead generation person or a marketing person. That's a case of when a company is not investing in the region, but also doesn't know how to invest in the region because they don't know the playbook that person originally followed to make them successful. That's a prime example of one.
So what you're saying now, what you're saying is if you're running a tech startup and you're going to be doing work in other regions where there's big money, which is APAC or US, you can hire your big shot person, but if they don't have a blueprint, just like you need a blueprint to build a car or a blueprint to build a house, you're going to run into a wall and you're going to spend so much more money failing. It would have been cheaper by the dozen to have done it right in the first place. You know, Colin, you're a smart guy. This is Ed Golod, Colin Kleine, Straight Talk. Thanks for joining.